my granddaughter is being told in her religion class that Adam and Eve were not real people.
Ouch.
And this bothers me greatly, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
Unfortunately, we do have some folks in the church that are fallen prey to an old error called polygenism that says Adam and Eve are just symbolic of a multitude, any number of people that are Adam and Eve. It could be hundreds of thousands of them or thousands of them and such. But the church does not teach that. And what you want to do is point out, I always like to go anyway to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which is so good. And this is what Pope St. John Paul the Great said when he promulgated this wonderful document. This is a sure norm for ecclesial community. This is basically what the church teaches. And so when you have that kind of discussion, you always want to be armed with the catechism. And I point out to folks that when the catechism in section 390 says revelation gives us the certainty of faith, that's really important. This is strong language. Revelation gives us the certainty of faith that the whole of human history is marked by the original fault freely committed by our first parents. And then there's a footnote there, footnote 265. And if you go down to the bottom of the page there in the Catechism, it quotes the Council of Trent, that section that I just mentioned on original sin, and then it cites Pope Pius XII from a document he wrote called Humani Generis, where he said it is not safe for a Catholic to teach that we have more, polygenism, and he even names polygenism. It's not safe to teach, and it also cites Pope St. Paul VI, from an allocution he gave to the Academy of Sciences, where he puts up the parameters and says, and he's actually exhorting Catholic scientists, saying you can go this far, but not farther. You don't go farther than acknowledging that we have our two original parents in Adam and Eve. But now to the other point, and I think Cy brings up an important point. You have those folks who try to say, science contradicts this, and it doesn't. There's no way that you can go back the hundreds of thousands of years necessary to discover some sort of, DNA lineage that goes all the way back. It's just not the way DNA works. And there's no science that disproves the possibility of Adam and Eve. It just does not exist. So this is, my friends, a matter of revelation, and it's a matter of what the church teaches. It's a matter of faith. And we as Catholics can say, hey, we are open to science. So show me the science, and I will accept it. Because we can, as Catholics, we know the highest science is the science of theology. And second highest would be philosophy. And inasmuch as philosophy undergirds theology, it's the handmaid of theology. And true science never contradicts the highest science, which is the science of theology. This is why the greatest scientists in the history of the world, at least in the last 2,000 years, just happen to be Catholic so often. Maybe not all the time. We had some Einsteins there, right? But it's extraordinary, the numbers that are in fact Catholic, and if not Catholic, theists, believers in God, including a great man like Albert Einstein. But at any rate, I hope that helps. Remember the Catechism, section 390. And I tell you, I think it's a bit irresponsible for these sometimes catechists to be especially teaching children. Oh my goodness. And to come out and say that Adam and Eve is just a myth, and they'll use that kind of language. It's just a terrible thing to say to children that don't have necessarily the sophistication to give a scientific comeback to a teacher. And this is why, as catechists, the catechism is so important. Just teach what the catechism teaches, right?
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this Catholic Answer, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out our live streams Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific. Or find the episode after on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, or our Catholic Answers app.